came on our radio show, MMA Junkie Radio, recently, and you talked about needing that push from the promotion to get to that next level of your career. Do you feel like that's happening now?
Not yet. You know, I think I saw an interview with Amanda Nunes said it best. I mean, she said that, you know, the UFC can make anyone really a star. You know, it's just they have to believe in you and put that time and effort and money into you to know that it's going to pay dividends. And so, you know, not yet. I think, you know, when I get back inside the cage, I just have to show them that, hey, you know, I said what I wanted and I can prove that. And so, you know, it's show and prove. That's how the game goes.
Is it also a matter of just having the luck of the draw, getting in there and having a spectacular finish on one night, maybe to get that critical mass?
Well, with me, it's never the luck of the draw because when I go into a fight, I want to make sure that no stone's left unturned, that I'm capable of winning that fight. You know, I don't want to go in there and say, well, I hope I get a lucky knockout that's going to be a highlight reel. You know, I go in there prepared to win, and that's the most important thing for me is winning. And so, you know, yeah, the promotion sometimes might feel like, hey, you're not that exciting. We want someone who's going to be doing crazy spinning stuff, you know, the highlight reel stuff. You know, but at the end of the day, you lose 2 or 3 in a row, your job's in jeopardy. And so my biggest, you know, motivation, my biggest concern is to go in there and win. But of course, you know, now I want to definitely entertain the masses because I have the ability to do that.
How do you think they look at you as a fighter right now? What do you think they think of you?
I think, you know, my last fight kind of changed the game a little bit. I think, you know, they kind of deemed me as another just guy who's just going to wrestle. You know, Jake Shields, a guy who's not going to try to stand, who's just going to wrestle. I have stand-up, but when you could just dominate guys by not taking any damage, isn't that what we want to do? You want to take a guy down and beat him up and not take any damage. And so when you're capable of doing that and no one was able to stop me from doing that, I kept doing that. But that doesn't mean I don't have stand-up. I have very, very good stand-up, which I showed in my last fight.
How much stock do you put in promoting yourself outside the cage? You know, talking more, developing more of like a persona that's marketable. Are you one of those guys who thinks that's real, or do you think that you should just basically let your fighting do the talking?
No, I think that's definitely real. You know, I put a little bit into that, but at the end of the day, it's you know, I'm not going to be fake. I'm not a fake person who's going to create something just for the cameras. You know, if the promotion is willing to invest and look deep enough into me, they will see that definitely I'm someone who's marketable. I come from humble beginnings. I was a kid from the streets of Nigeria, you know, to where now I'm living a dream that, you know, there's millions of kids that are back home in Nigeria, in Cameroon, or all the African countries, never dream of, you know, we wake up hoping we can get fresh water, walk 15, 10 miles to go get fresh water. You never dream that you're going to be in a country like this, you know, on a stage like this. And so that's something that me and, you know, a friend of mine, Francis, are doing. We're inspiring the masses all over the continent.
You said Francis the heavyweight?
Yes.
Oh, what is that relationship? You like training partners, or?
It's a great relationship, man. I mean, we fought on the same card in Orlando, which was my second fight in the UFC. And, you know, it's when you come from we come from the same continent, we come from the same beginnings, to where we know what it's like to, you know, at 4 years old, go to school and you know, wake up, maybe walk 5 to 10 miles just to get clean water out of the well and bring it back home for that rest of that day. We know what it's like, so it's a bond that nothing can break, you know. And you know, we just hit it off, and you know, he's came down. He lives actually in France, and he's came down and visited me and stayed with me for a couple of weeks and trained with me. You know, just a freak athlete that also has the same belief, the same plans in himself that I do. You know, that we can change, you know, the face of this game, also while inspiring the masses in that continent.
What's MMA like in Africa? I mean, that's one place the UFC hasn't really tried to get in. You know, what can you tell us about the state of MMA over there?
It's not as big, obviously, because you know, really I would say the only, you know, countries that really have is maybe South Africa, and that's because, you know, South Africa is probably, I would say, one of the closest ones as far as, you know, with the system that it is here. You know, the other countries, I think they're still kind of looked at as third world countries, so I think they don't see a potential gold mine, the money coming from that country. But that's false. You know, there's a lot of money in Africa, a lot of money. You know, it just has to take the right individuals to go in there and get the job done. And it takes a lot of trust and belief from the promotion to do that as well.
We touched on, perhaps developing a persona, or letting your winning do the talking, or both, what have you. But I want to tie that back into your home country. When you go back now, are you getting known, or are you, you talked about spreading the word, and how is it when you go back? Do people understand what you're doing and what you're achieving?
Yeah, I haven't been back in a while. Like for someone like me, myself, I'm almost all the way around, the other side of the world, to where someone like Francis, he's in Paris, so it's just a plane ride away. And so he goes back more often than I do. But, I get it now. Social media is so big. It's such a tool that makes you accessible to, the masses all around the world, to where I get tons of messages from, kids that say, "You're inspiring me. I woke up today, I want to do this sport. I want to try this. I think this could change my life." It's stuff like that that makes it worthwhile. And it's I think it's an amazing story if it's just if the promotion is willing to trust us enough to put that on our hands, and they'll see that, hey, we don't have to build a fake persona. We come from humble beginnings that we've gotten here now, and our fighting is doing that. I'm also undefeated in the UFC as well as Francis, and so we're doing it obviously in different ways, but the message is still the same, and it's loud and clear.
Do you have a fight booked?
We're working on something.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I wasn't sure if you trying to sell us something. I mean, like, that's
No,
something
no.
like-
I will. If I had a fight book for sure, I would definitely let you guys know that. But we're working on something right now.
Okay, good.
Any
Yeah.
particular time frame for that?
I wanted to fight March, but it looked like the card was all filled up. But for sure, I want to fight in Buffalo. My teammate Anthony Johnson is fighting on that, headlining that, and I definitely want to be on that. I love fighting with my teammates. It's just you train together, you feel those vibes together, you feel those emotions together, and you go to war together.
So where do you train now? Because we had these reports that Blackzilions is basically fractured. You have Glenn saying he's basically doing his own thing, letting all this blow over until you guys make some new announcements. From your perspective, what's the state of the team?
Honestly, for us, nothing changed. The only change is we don't have a big fancy gym that we had anymore, and some of the guys aren't managed by Glenn anymore. That's the only change. We all still train together. Blackzilions was not just a name. Blackzilions was the guys that were training there. Rashad Evans, Anthony Johnson, Michael Johnson, myself, Abel Trujillo, Carrington Banks. The list goes on of guys that were training there that made up the Blackzilions. We still train together. The only difference is we don't have a big fancy gym, and a lot of the guys aren't managed by Glenn anymore. That's the only change. We still have our coaches. Henry Hoof, he's doing his own thing, not with Glenn, but we still train with Henry Hoof. My coach, my ground coach, George Santiago, I still train with him. So it's just, that's the only change, really.